Hello everyone, back tuning into our latest Star Wars video. So it's been a little while since I've been able to bring you Star Wars content on this channel. I've been really busy with a day job, which is on my weather channel. So I've not been able to bring you Star Wars uploads, sorry about that. But I saw a story a few days ago, actually. It's been knocking around for a little while. It's about the actor who played Admiral Ackbar, who we already know is very upset with what happened with his character in The Last Jedi. Actually, it turns out the actor was reduced to tears on set of The Last Jedi, and we'll be going over the story in a second. Just say, but if you're enjoying the Star Wars content on the channel, when we can bring it to you, please like, share, and subscribe, and let us know in the comments what you think. So we're at the website digitalspy.com. And the story is Star Wars Admiral Ackbar actor reduced to tears at iconic character's disappointing Last Jedi role. This by Sam Warner, and it was published on the 1st of June. So as I say, this story has been knocking around for a while. I've been meaning to cover it, but just haven't had the chance. There's the glorious Admiral Ackbar there, of course. So let's get into the story right now then. And it begins, if you were underwhelmed by everyone's favourite Mon Calamari Admiral Ackbar's off-screen death in Star Wars The Last Jedi, you're not alone. In fact, the puppeteer who has played the cult character, the cult Star Wars character, since his first appearance in Return of the Jedi, has revealed he was in tears after being disappointed by how he was killed off. Then it goes over the death of Admiral Ackbar, I think. So it says, if you remember, the military commander was among the characters who were taken out by the First Order's attack on the Resistance, which saw General Leia thrown out into space and miraculously survived. Leia Poppins, of course. Right, we'll carry on down the story. His death was then confirmed by another character later on, and puppeteer Tim Rose has now admitted to YouTuber Jamie Stangroom that he was expecting a more dramatic demise. Tim Rose says, after waiting 30 years to reprise Ackbar, I was a little disappointed with Ackbar's role in that picture, he said. Talking about The Force Awakens there, I think, rather than The Last Jedi. And he goes on, so in The Last Jedi, I was looking forward to maybe them giving him something a little bit more juicy. Weren't we all, Tim? It carries on. We were only in the script on the day when we were shooting that piece of script. So each day I would come to work going, is today the day when Ackbar gets something a little bit more involving? We carry on. And Tim Rose continues. And I looked at my script and I went, oh, Ackbar's going out the window. Well, that's that then. The puppeteer then revealed that he was called to camera after finishing his scenes, thinking they were going to say thank you for being one of the heritage characters and giving 30 years and all that. But what they did was they gave me a Millennium Falcon sign that had the day and date on it, the scene number, and they said, can you look at the camera and say, it's a wrap? Because that would be really funny, he added. So there we go. Rose went on, I was actually in tears in the suit because I thought, after everything, after hoping there'd be something, after knowing there wasn't going to be anything else, Ackbar's final moment before he went into the box was a big joke about it's a wrap. They just thought, wouldn't it be funny? And that was the sum total of my life as Ackbar. I disappeared down the back and couldn't come out for 30 minutes after that. Digital Spy finishes off, oh dear. So just very quick over that. It's a little bit funny, but it does say that the key quote, I think, is just here, that The puppeteer then revealed he was called to the camera after finishing his scenes. After finishing the scene where he's blown out the window, he obviously went off and got out of his put his puppy down, if you like, and they just called back later on. So he comes back to the camera thinking they were going to say thank you for being one of the heritage characters and giving 30 years and all of that kind of thing. And what actually happened was that they gave him a Millennium Falcon sign that had the day and date on it, the scene number, and they said, can you look at the camera and say, it's a wrap in the Ackbar voice, because that would be really funny. So they've killed off heritage characters, basically what he's saying, but the people who were making the film didn't care. They were more interested in creating a joke out of the demise of Admiral Ackbar. And then, quite distressingly actually, Rose goes on that he was in tears in the suit because I was actually in tears in the suit because I thought after everything, after hoping there'd be something, after knowing there wasn't going to be anything else, Ackbar's final moment was just a big joke. It's a wrap. They just thought, wouldn't it be funny? And that was the sum total of my life as Ackbar. After 30 years, I was disappointed. I disappeared down the back of the set and couldn't come out for 30 minutes after that. So it sounds like he was actually in quite a distressed state, to be honest, about what happened on the set of The Last Jedi. And well, these actors who sort of have an ongoing association with Star Wars, of course, they become very involved with their characters. We maybe don't realise on the outside, but I mean, somebody's been playing the same character on and off since 1983. Attends all the fan conventions, sort of promoting that character, and knows how much the fans like the character that they've been portraying for 30 years. Then, obviously, they grow very, very fond of that character, and I guess it was just a very upsetting sort of moment that he had his character killed off, and then the creators, I assume he's talking about Rian Johnson here. I would assume it's Rian Johnson that called him back and Tom to do the "it's a wrap" joke. I would it appears that these creators of these new films don't have any sort of connection to the legacy characters, unlike the people who are playing the legacy characters. So in a way, this kind of like typifies Rian Johnson's entire approach, I think, to The Last Jedi. Very, very disrespectful to Star Wars lore, to what's gone before. He just wanted to make his own film, and he didn't care about honouring the characters that had already been established and the storylines that had already been established. Of course, that is most evident in what he did, I say Rian Johnson personally did, to Mark Hamill and to Luke Skywalker. The way that Luke Skywalker was portrayed in The Last Jedi was a complete travesty to both Mark Hamill and to the character of Luke Skywalker. Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi bears no resemblance whatsoever to the Luke Skywalker that we know in the original trilogy. It's a different character. Mark Hamill called him Jake Skywalker because he was just having to portray a totally new character. It wasn't a character he knew at all. And I think this sort of typifies Rian Johnson's entire approach to Star Wars, or certainly to The Last Jedi. So very disrespectful of the creators of Star Wars, very disrespectful to the actors who have portrayed these characters in an ongoing ongoing series of films over, in some cases, 30, 40 years, and just very disrespectful of Star Wars fans, very disrespectful of Star Wars lore, and I think that comes out in this story, really, from Tim Rose, that I mean, we knew Tim Rose was quite upset about what had happened to his character anyway, because he'd let something slip at Star Celebration. But the fact that he's saying that he was crying, he was in tears in the suit when they're getting to do this juvenile and really rather pathetic joke, he he was crying behind that suit, and he went off out back and spent 30 minutes before he could face anybody. So, I mean, I wonder whether Rian Johnson is aware of the sort of upset and distress it has caused to Tim Rose. I mean, Rian Johnson is very, very vocal on Twitter about toxic sort of fans, about toxic Star Wars fans. But it appears through this story that maybe Rian Johnson needs to take a good look at himself, because maybe he himself is somewhat toxic if he's reducing his actors to tears. I think he needs to take a look at himself, but that's for Rian Johnson, of course, to decide whether he wants to do that. But more generally, I think that what this shows, again, it confirms again, is just the total lack of respect, the total sort of arrogant attitude that Rian Johnson has, that to some degree, J.J. Abrams had on The Force Awakens, Kathleen Kennedy. These people are very disrespectful of what has gone before. They really don't care about the characters that have already been established by George Lucas and George Lucas's legacy. They really don't seem to care at all about Star Wars fans, Star Wars legacy, Star Wars actors. It's very, very distressing to find out that Tim Rose was in such a state of distress on the set of The Last Jedi. And it just makes you wonder what Star Wars is coming to, really. I mean, this is a guy that's been around Star Wars since Return of the Jedi. He goes to all the fan conventions. I've never heard anyone have a bad word to say about him. And yet it appears he was treated in a very, very, very haphazard way, if you like. The way they treated him, killing off his character in such a disappointing way, and then trying to make him the butt of a joke on set. I think it just typifies the attitude that these people have had to Star Wars all the way along. It reached its climax with The Last Jedi, but the warning shots, the warning signs were there on The Force Awakens, I have to say, with the way they marketed that film, trashing George Lucas, trashing the prequels, all of that. Really said a swear word, but all of that rubbish about real sets, practical effects. They were trashing what George Lucas had done on the prequel trilogy when they marketed the Force Awakens. That marketing campaign didn't get worse on The Last Jedi. Actually, they knocked a lot of that on the head for The Last Jedi's marketing campaign. But the overall attitude, very disrespectful to Star Wars and the legacy of Star Wars, that culminated with The Last Jedi, which was just a shocking film, really, in terms of the way that it trashed the characters that we knew so well. And it appears that not only did they trash the characters that we knew so well, it also appears that they were very, very dismissive, if you like, of the actors that have been playing those characters, which we know as well from what Mark Hamill has told us, but Mark hasn't actually said that he was in tears about what they did to his character, and like what we've heard there from Tim Rose. So again, it just sums up the state of Star Wars. It's in a bad old way. We'll see what happens with the Rise of Skywalker, but I've got concerns about the Rise of Skywalker in terms that already with J.J. Abrams we're beginning to hear this rubbish about real sets, practical effects, real locations, all of that kind of thing starting to be regurgitated again. We heard it on the Force Awakens until we was sick to death of it. It appears we're going to start hearing it all over again for the Rise of Skywalker. So all of the flaws, all of the problems, I think, are still there with J.J. Abrams and the Rise of Skywalker, so I'm not expecting much from the Rise of Skywalker, to be honest. The only good news is that it appears that George Lucas has had some involvement in The Rise of Skywalker. But again, we don't know how much. We don't know how much of that is marketing. A lot of that could just be Disney's marketing department dangling the carrot that George is involved. But actually how much he has been, until we hear it from George Lucas himself, stay dubious about that. But yeah, it's sad, isn't it, that Tim Rose, who has been involved with Star Wars since Return of the Jedi, been involved with Star Wars since 1983, was reduced to tears on the set of The Last Jedi. I mean, there's humour within the article, I suppose, but there is a serious point, and it's rather distressing to hear that somebody who's been nothing but a stalwart of Star Wars, like Tim Rose, has been reduced to tears on the set of the last Star Wars film. It's quite upsetting, actually, to think that that's what happened. But there we go. Right, we'll be back with more Star Wars content very, very soon. Please like, share, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments what you think. That's all for now, and thanks for watching.